When you retire, never give such things to your children, especially after 70 years old. Buddhist teachings. Imagine reaching the golden years of your life, a time when you should be enjoying the fruits of your labor, only to find yourself grappling with the unsettling realization that the sacrifices you made for your children have left you feeling more alone than ever. This is the harsh reality that many retirees face today, parents who gave everything to their children, only to find that the love and care they hoped for in return have dwindled with time. The story of Mrs. Evelyn is a poignant reminder that as much as we love our children, there comes a point when we must prioritize our own well-being and financial security. Her journey is not just a tale of heartbreak, but also a powerful lesson in the importance of self-preservation as we age. Mrs. Evelyn was a dedicated mother who devoted her life to raising her 3 children, always putting their needs before her own. Widowed at an early age, she worked tirelessly to ensure her children had everything they needed: good education, comfortable homes, and a bright future. She was proud of her children's achievements as they graduated from prestigious universities, started their careers, and built families of their own. However, as the years passed and Mrs. Evelyn entered her retirement, she began to notice a painful shift in her relationship with her children. They rarely visited, and their phone calls became less frequent. When they did call, it was often to ask for financial help rather than to check on her well-being. Despite having sacrificed so much for them, Mrs. Evelyn found herself alone, with little emotional support from the very people she had nurtured. Mrs. Evelyn's retirement savings were modest, but she had always imagined that her children would help care for her in her later years. Yet, as her health began to decline, she realized that her children were more interested in their own lives and financial struggles than in her needs. The final straw came when she asked one of her sons to help her with a small home repair. He reluctantly agreed, but only after she offered to pay him for his time. Feeling disillusioned and heartbroken, Mrs. Evelyn decided to make a change. She withdrew from financially supporting her children and focused instead on securing her own future. She downsized her home, invested in a comfortable retirement community, and began to enjoy her hobbies and the company of new friends. It wasn't an easy decision, but she knew she needed to prioritize her own well-being. Reflecting on her experiences, Mrs. Evelyn realized that she had spent much of her life giving to others without asking for anything in return. But as she aged, she learned the importance of self-preservation. She understood that while parental love is boundless, it's essential to set boundaries and ensure that you are not left vulnerable or dependent on others who may not reciprocate your care. The lesson Mrs. Evelyn took from her journey was one of balance. Loving your children unconditionally, but also loving yourself enough to prepare for your own future. She came to terms with the reality that her children, while still dear to her, were now adults responsible for their own lives. She found peace in knowing that she had done her best as a mother, and that it was now her time to focus on her own happiness and security. Mrs. Evelyn's story teaches us the importance of self-care and the need to maintain financial and emotional independence, even in the face of deep familial love. It's a reminder that while giving to others is noble, it's crucial to ensure that we also take care of ourselves. In retirement, it's okay to prioritize your own needs and well-being, knowing that you've done your part. This balance not only protects your future, but also sets a healthy example for the next generation. First lesson: the burden of emotional attachments in gifts. As we age, particularly after reaching the milestone of 70, life tends to offer us a more profound understanding of the world and our place within it. This deeper insight often brings with it a desire to share our accumulated wisdom and the possessions we've gathered over a lifetime with our children. Yet, Buddhist teachings, rich with ancient wisdom, caution us to tread carefully when it comes to passing down material items that are imbued with emotional significance or unresolved attachments. The very objects that we cherish, which may represent our life's struggles, unfulfilled dreams, or deep-seated regrets, can unknowingly become burdens when bestowed upon our children. These possessions, instead of serving as tokens of love or gratitude, can create a heavy weight of expectation, a sense of duty, or even guilt in those who receive them. Imagine a family heirloom, not as a cherished gift, but as a reminder of sacrifices unmet or dreams deferred. It can turn a gesture of love into a source of quiet anguish. The essence of Buddhist philosophy guides us towards the practice of non-attachment, urging us to recognize that the truest and most meaningful legacy we can leave is not found in material wealth, but in the values, wisdom, and inner peace we cultivate throughout our lives. The Buddha himself once said, "You only lose what you cling to." This teaching serves as a reminder that clinging to physical possessions, especially those laden with unresolved emotions, can perpetuate suffering for both ourselves and our loved ones. Rather than transferring our emotional baggage to the next generation, we are encouraged to let go of such attachments, thereby allowing both ourselves and our children to embrace the impermanence of life. This approach not only helps us to resolve our own emotional ties, but also frees our children from the unintended burden of carrying the weight of our past. It is in this detachment that we find true peace, and it is this peace that we should strive to pass on. The key lesson here is to focus on what truly matters, leaving behind a legacy of wisdom, compassion, and serenity. By doing so, we ensure that our children inherit not our regrets, but the strength and clarity to navigate their own lives with grace. The solution lies in deep reflection on the nature of the items we consider passing on, ensuring that they do not carry with them unresolved emotions that could potentially cause harm. Instead, let us leave behind memories of love, moments of shared joy, and the invaluable lessons we've learned along the way. These are the treasures that will enrich our children's lives far more than any material possession ever could. As we navigate this stage of life, it is vital to remember that our most significant impact will not be in the things we leave behind, but in the love and wisdom we impart. This mindfulness is particularly crucial in modern life, where the pace of living can often blur the lines between what is truly important and what is not. The act of giving, when done with awareness and intention, becomes a powerful tool for nurturing the next generation, allowing them to inherit not just our belongings, but our understanding of life's most profound truths. Therefore, as we reflect on what to pass on, let us consider the teachings of the Buddha, who said, "The root of suffering is attachment." In letting go, we not only free ourselves, but also empower our children to live their lives unburdened by the shadows of our past. By focusing on the intangible legacies of wisdom, compassion, and inner peace, we contribute to a cycle of love and understanding that will resonate through generations. This approach requires us to transcend the physical and embrace the spiritual, recognizing that the greatest gifts we can give are those that nurture the soul and foster true happiness. In today's world, where materialism often overshadows spiritual values, this lesson is more relevant than ever. The pressure to accumulate and pass down wealth can lead to a cycle of attachment and suffering, both for us and for those we love. But by shifting our focus from the material to the spiritual, we can break this cycle and create a legacy that truly enriches our children's lives. The teachings of Buddhism provide us with the tools to do this. encouraging us to let go of our attachments and embrace the transient nature of existence. In doing so, we find not only our peace but also the strength to impart this peace to our children. Let us take this wisdom to heart and strive to leave behind a legacy that reflects not the weight of our possessions, but the lightness of our being. By doing so, we ensure that our children inherit not just our belongings, but our values, our love, and our understanding of what it truly means to live a fulfilled and meaningful life. This is the greatest gift we can give, and it is one that will continue to give long after we are gone. Second lesson: heirlooms or cherished possessions. As you enter the later stages of life, particularly after the age of 70, the thought of passing down family heirlooms or cherished possessions to your children often comes to mind. It's a natural instinct, fueled by the desire to leave behind something tangible that represents your life's journey, your struggles, and your triumphs. However, it's crucial to be aware of the deeper implications of such acts, especially from a Buddhist perspective, which teaches us to be mindful of the karma attached to every object in our possession. While these items may have significant sentimental value, they might also have absorbed the negative energies of past conflicts, family disputes, or personal hardships. The intention behind giving these heirlooms might be pure, but the unseen energy they carry could unintentionally pass on negative karma to your children, potentially affecting their peace, happiness, and spiritual well-being. Buddhism encourages us to go beyond the material and look deeper into the essence of what we are passing on to our loved ones. The things we hold dear, the objects that have traveled with us through life's various phases, may carry with them the residue of pain, sorrow, or unfulfilled desires. Even a beloved piece of jewelry, a family portrait, or an antique that's been in the family for generations might carry the burden of the past. It's not just the physical aspect of these objects that we pass down, but the emotional and spiritual imprints as well. These imprints, though invisible, can have a profound impact on those who inherit them. Consider the story of an elderly Buddhist monk who, in his twilight years, had accumulated a modest collection of items that held significant meaning to him. Each item represented a different chapter of his life, from the begging bowl he used in his early days of monkhood to the wooden beads that had absorbed the vibrations of countless prayers. As he neared the end of his life, his disciples asked him what he intended to do with these items. The monk smiled and said, "I shall pass on the teachings, not the objects. The objects have served me well, but they carry my journey, my struggles, and my karma. I wish for you to have a journey unburdened by my past." With that, the monk performed a cleansing ritual, releasing his attachment to these possessions, and instead passed on his wisdom and the essence of his spiritual journey to his disciples. The story teaches us the importance of cleansing our belongings, not just physically but spiritually, before considering passing them on to others. By performing such rituals, we release the negative energy that might be attached to these items, ensuring that what we pass down is pure and beneficial. But more importantly, the story emphasizes the value of releasing attachment altogether. The monk understood that the true inheritance he could leave behind was not in material form, but in the teachings and wisdom that had guided him throughout his life. This lesson is particularly important when we consider the transient nature of the material world. The possessions we hold so dear are, in the end, just that, possessions. They are not eternal, and their significance fades over time. What remains and what truly matters are the spiritual legacies we leave behind, the lessons of compassion, mindfulness, and detachment from the material world. These are the treasures that will continue to benefit your children long after any physical object has lost its luster. So, as you reflect on what you wish to pass down to your children, consider the true value of those items. Are they laden with the past's unresolved issues, or do they represent a life well lived, free from the entanglements of material desire? The Buddha once said, "The root of suffering is attachment." This profound teaching reminds us that by holding on too tightly to our possessions, we may inadvertently cause suffering, both to ourselves and to those who come after us. Instead, focus on passing down the values and wisdom that have brought you peace and fulfillment in life. Perhaps the greatest gift you can give your children is the understanding that true wealth is found not in material objects, but in the virtues of kindness, understanding, and inner peace. Encourage them to live a life of mindfulness, where they are aware of the present moment and free from the burdens of past karma. Teach them the importance of compassion, not just for others but for themselves, so they can navigate life with a light heart and a clear mind. And most importantly, help them to understand the value of detachment, not as a form of neglect or indifference, but as a way to free themselves from the chains of materialism and the endless cycle of desire and dissatisfaction. In the end, it is the spiritual teachings, the moments of shared wisdom, and the values of compassion and mindfulness that will remain etched in their hearts and minds. These are the true heirlooms, far more valuable than any physical possession. They are the legacies that will continue to guide them long after you are gone, helping them to live lives filled with purpose, peace, and spiritual fulfillment. As you consider what to leave behind, ask yourself, are you passing down objects of temporary value or timeless wisdom? Are you burdening your children with the karma of your past, or are you freeing them to create their own paths, unencumbered by the material world? What is the true inheritance you wish to leave? These are the questions that will guide you toward making decisions that not only honor your life, but also ensure the well-being and spiritual growth of your children. The ultimate lesson here is that life's true treasures are not found in what we own, but in what we learn and how we choose to share that wisdom with others. So, let go of the attachments that no longer serve you or your loved ones, and focus on leaving behind a legacy that transcends the material, a legacy of wisdom, compassion, and spiritual insight. This is the greatest inheritance you can offer, one that will benefit not only your children, but generations to come. Third lesson, creating dependence through generosity. When you reach the golden years of life, particularly after the age of 70, it's natural to consider passing down your hard-earned wealth and cherished possessions to your children. After all, you've worked tirelessly to build a life of comfort and security, and it may seem only right to share this with those you love most. However, Buddhist teachings urge us to look deeper into the implications of such generosity. The teachings encourage us to question whether these well-intentioned gifts might inadvertently create a sense of dependence or entitlement in your children. You see, Buddhism emphasizes the importance of self-reliance and warns of the dangers of attachment, not only for the giver, but also for the receiver. When you give too much too soon, you may unintentionally rob your children of the invaluable experience of building their own lives, developing their sense of responsibility, and forging their path to independence. Moreover, it's important to reflect on the true motivation behind your generosity. Are you giving out of genuine compassion, or is there a hidden desire to maintain control or ensure that your legacy is remembered? This distinction is vital. The wisdom of Buddhism teaches that true generosity should empower rather than weaken, and should be free from any strings attached. The key lesson here is to practice generosity with mindfulness and insight, ensuring that your gifts help your children grow rather than hinder their development. As the Buddha said, "It is not what you give, but the spirit in which you give it, that makes it precious. Consider this. By fostering your children's ability to stand on their own 2 feet, you are offering them something far more valuable than material wealth. You're giving them the tools to navigate life with confidence and resilience. Isn't this the ultimate act of love and kindness? Rather than providing them with everything they need, why not guide them to find their way, to learn from their mistakes, and to grow through their challenges? How often have we seen families torn apart by disputes over inheritance or strained relationships caused by financial dependence? These are the real dangers that Buddhist teachings caution against. In this stage of life, your role is to support and guide, not to control or overindulge. By doing so, you set an example of strength and wisdom that your children can learn from and respect. Teach your children to hold on to their values, not to the things you leave behind, is a piece of advice that resonates deeply with Buddhist philosophy. It encourages us to focus on the intangible lessons of life, kindness, integrity, and resilience, rather than the accumulation of wealth or possessions. As you reflect on your legacy, ask yourself, what kind of life do you want to leave behind for your children? Is it one filled with material possessions, or one rich in wisdom and experience? What kind of lessons do you want your children to learn from you? By choosing to give them the gift of independence and the freedom to create their own lives, you are not only honoring their potential, but also living in accordance with the teachings of the Buddha, who said, "The greatest gift is to give people your enlightenment, to share it. It has to be the greatest." Let this reflection be your guide. Allow your actions to be rooted in compassion, but also in wisdom. Remember, true generosity is not about what you give, but how you give it. It's about empowering your children to be the best versions of themselves, to live with dignity, and to pass on those same values to the next generation. As you continue your journey in life, may you find peace in knowing that you have given your children the greatest gift of all, the ability to thrive on their own. So, as you think about what you want to pass down, consider the long-term impact of your decisions. Will your generosity help your children grow, or will it tie them down with expectations and obligations? Will it strengthen their character, or will it weaken their resolve? These are the questions that can help you navigate the delicate balance of giving with both heart and wisdom. In the end, it's not about how much you give, but about how your giving shapes the lives of those you love. As you reflect on this, consider how you can be a source of strength and inspiration for your children, guiding them with wisdom and love rather than material wealth. How can you help them cultivate their own inner strength so they can face life's challenges with courage and resilience? These are the questions that truly matter, and they are the ones that will lead you to a legacy of lasting value. Remember, the greatest legacy you can leave is not one of wealth or possessions, but one of wisdom and love. And in the words of the Buddha, you only lose what you cling to. So, as you plan for the future, let go of the need to control or hold on to material things, and instead focus on the spiritual and emotional legacy you wish to leave behind. This is the true path to peace and fulfillment in your later years. As you move forward, keep these teachings close to your heart. Let them guide your decisions and allow them to bring you comfort and clarity. And always remember, the most precious gift you can give your children is the strength to stand on their own, the wisdom to make good decisions, and the love that will carry them through whatever life may bring. How will you choose to give today, knowing that your generosity can shape the future for generations to come? Fourth lesson, the hidden consequences of giving everything away. As you enter the later stages of life, a natural instinct often arises to transfer all your accumulated wealth and possessions to your children, motivated by a desire to ensure their happiness and security. While this impulse is understandable, Buddhist teachings urge us to tread carefully and mindfully in such decisions, as they are fraught with hidden consequences that can unravel the very bonds of family that you seek to strengthen. The generous act of giving away your assets, though well-intentioned, can inadvertently sow the seeds of discord and strife among your offspring, leading to sibling rivalry, greed, and a lack of gratitude for the sacrifices you have made. It is a poignant reminder of the Buddha's teaching that one should not live the household life when old, for the mind should be set on the Dhamma, the true wealth that surpasses all. The essence of this lesson is to understand that the true legacy you leave behind is not found in material wealth, but in the wisdom, values, and inner peace that you impart to your children. In the context of modern life, where materialism often overshadows spiritual growth, it becomes even more crucial to recognize that your children's long-term happiness and security are not anchored in the money or possessions you bestow upon them. Instead, they are rooted in the strength of character, resilience, and mindfulness that they can develop through the example you set and the wisdom you share. Consider the Buddhist concept of dana, or generosity, which emphasizes the importance of intention and the mindful giving that benefits the receiver without causing harm. Before deciding to distribute your wealth, reflect deeply on whether your actions may inadvertently lead to harm rather than good. In the competitive and often stressful environment of today's world, many believe that securing material wealth for their children is the ultimate form of care. However, what is often overlooked is that material gifts can create dependency, diminish motivation, and even foster entitlement among children, leading them away from the path of self-reliance and true happiness. As the Buddha wisely noted, contentment is the greatest wealth, a teaching that underscores the value of cultivating contentment and spiritual wealth over material abundance. By prioritizing the transmission of spiritual values, such as mindfulness, compassion, and the ability to find peace within, you equip your children with tools that will serve them throughout their lives, regardless of their material circumstances. Moreover, the act of giving everything away can also deprive you of your own sense of security and well-being in your later years. The Buddha's teachings remind us that it is essential to maintain balance in all things, including the practice of generosity. Just as you have a responsibility to ensure your children's well-being, you also have a duty to care for your own needs and maintain your peace of mind. This balance is crucial in avoiding the hidden pitfalls of well-meaning but potentially harmful generosity. As the Dalai Lama has said, the true hero is one who conquers his own anger and hatred, a reminder that mastering our impulses, even those driven by love and care, is key to living a harmonious life. Consider the advice often given to retirees. Maintain control over your assets for as long as possible, not out of selfishness, but to ensure that your decisions are made with clarity and foresight. This approach not only safeguards your financial stability, but also allows you to make more thoughtful, deliberate decisions about how and when to pass on your wealth. In this way, you can continue to provide for your children without risking your own well-being or inadvertently causing conflict among them. Furthermore, it is important to engage in open, honest conversations with your children about your intentions and the values you wish to impart. Encourage them to understand the importance of spiritual wealth and the dangers of over-reliance on material possessions. By doing so, you can help them appreciate the deeper lessons of life, such as the value of hard work, the importance of inner peace, and the strength that comes from facing challenges with resilience. These are the true gifts that will serve them long after any material wealth has faded. Ultimately, the lesson here is not about withholding generosity, but about practicing it with wisdom and mindfulness. The act of giving should be driven by a desire to enhance the well-being of all involved, rather than simply fulfilling an emotional impulse. As the Buddha taught, "He who gives liberally goes to the celestial realm. He who is restrained attains peace, but he who is free from all worldly attachments reaches nirvana." This teaching encapsulates the idea that true giving is not just about material exchange, but about fostering peace, harmony, and spiritual growth within oneself and others. In conclusion, as you contemplate your legacy and the ways in which you can support your children, remember that the most valuable gift you can give them is not your material wealth, but the wisdom, compassion, and inner peace that you have cultivated throughout your life. These are the treasures that will sustain them in times of difficulty and guide them on the path to true happiness. By being mindful of the hidden consequences of giving everything away, and by prioritizing the transmission of spiritual wealth, you can ensure that your legacy is one of harmony, wisdom, and lasting peace. Fifth lesson: the emotional impact of passing down possessions. When you reach the golden years of your life, you may feel the urge to pass down your cherished possessions to your children as an act of love. It's natural to want to share the material things that have been part of your journey, as a way to leave behind a tangible piece of yourself. However, while this gesture may seem like a simple and loving way to continue your legacy, it can sometimes have unintended emotional consequences that may weigh heavily on your children long after you're gone. You see, certain items, no matter how valuable or sentimental, might carry with them memories that are bittersweet or even painful, memories that your children may not be prepared to confront or may not have the same fondness for as you do. Perhaps that old family heirloom reminds your child of a time of strife in the family, or maybe a treasured piece of jewelry carries the weight of an unresolved conflict. Buddhism, with its profound teachings on the nature of attachment, offers us wisdom in this delicate matter. The Buddha often emphasized the importance of letting go, of practicing non-attachment, not just for our own peace of mind, but for the well-being of those we love. It is a principle that resonates deeply as we consider the legacy we wish to leave behind. By holding on to our attachments, by resolving our emotional ties to our possessions, we can prevent the unintended consequence of passing on not just material objects, but emotional burdens as well. The true essence of giving lies not in the physical act of handing over a possession, but in the intention behind it. The intention to leave a legacy of peace, clarity, and freedom from unresolved emotions. There was once a wise monk who, upon nearing the end of his life, gathered his disciples and spoke of his most cherished possession, a simple bowl that had served him throughout his years. The bowl was worn, cracked, and held no monetary value, but to the monk it was a symbol of his journey, a silent witness to his years of meditation and teaching. When his disciples asked who would inherit the bowl, the monk smiled and said, "This bowl holds all my joys and sorrows, my triumphs and defeats. To pass it on to any of you would be to pass on these attachments. Instead, I will break it, so that none of you will bear the weight of my past." And with that, he gently shattered the bowl, teaching his disciples the importance of non-attachment and the freedom that comes with letting go. This story invites us to reflect deeply on the things we hold dear and the potential impact they may have on those we love. When you think about the possessions you plan to pass down, ask yourself, what emotions are tied to these objects? Will they bring peace to my children, or might they burden them with unresolved emotions? It's a question that requires us to be mindful and introspective, to consider not just the material value of our possessions, but their emotional and spiritual significance as well. In Buddhist teachings, the ultimate goal is to free ourselves from the cycle of attachment, to let go of the things that tether us to past emotions and experiences. By carefully considering the possessions you plan to give, by resolving your attachments and releasing any emotional baggage, you can ensure that your final gifts are ones of love and peace, not of burden. This doesn't mean you shouldn't pass down your cherished items, but rather that you should do so with mindfulness and intention, ensuring that the legacy you leave is one of clarity and light. As you prepare for this stage of life, take a moment to reflect on the things you hold dear. Are they items that will bring joy to your children, or might they reopen old wounds? Consider talking to your children about these items, sharing the stories behind them, and perhaps even discussing their feelings about receiving them. This open dialogue can help prevent any emotional strain and ensure that the possessions you pass down are received with the love and intention with which they were given. In conclusion, be mindful of the emotional and spiritual impact of the items you wish to pass on. Ensure that your legacy is one of peace and clarity, free from the unresolved emotions that can sometimes be tied to our most cherished possessions. By doing so, you not only honor the Buddhist teachings of non-attachment, but also leave behind a legacy that is truly meaningful, a legacy that will bring comfort and peace to your children as they remember you. And so, as you think about the things you wish to leave behind, remember this: the greatest gift you can give your children is not a physical object, but the freedom from emotional burdens, the gift of a peaceful heart, and the wisdom to let go. What will your legacy be? The Courageous Journey of Grace. A lesson in self-respect and independence. Have you ever found yourself at a crossroads, torn between fulfilling the expectations of others and reclaiming the life you truly desire? Meet Grace, a 68-year-old woman whose journey from devoted mother and grandmother to a woman rediscovering her independence will resonate deeply with anyone who has ever struggled to balance the demands of family with the pursuit of personal happiness. Grace's story isn't just about growing older, it's about finding the courage to live life on your own terms, even when the world expects something different. Join us as we dive into her inspiring tale, a reminder that it's never too late to take back your life and follow your heart. Meet Grace, a 68-year-old woman from Ohio who, after a long and fulfilling career as a schoolteacher, was excited to finally retire and enjoy her golden years. Grace had always been a fiercely independent woman, priding herself on the life she built through hard work and determination. But when her husband passed away unexpectedly, she found herself alone for the first time in decades. Concerned for her well-being, Grace's daughter, Sarah, insisted that she move in with her and her family. At first, Grace was hesitant, cherishing her independence, but she eventually agreed, believing it would be nice to spend more time with her grandchildren and have some company in her old age. The first few months were pleasant. Grace enjoyed cooking meals for her family, helping with the children, and having the bustling energy of family life around her. But slowly, what began as occasional help turned into a full-time job. Grace found herself taking care of all the household chores, from cooking and cleaning to babysitting and running errands. Sarah and her husband, who both worked long hours, seemed to take Grace's help for granted, assuming she would always be there to pick up the slack. Grace began to feel more like an unpaid housekeeper than a beloved mother and grandmother. Her own needs and desires were pushed aside as she dedicated all her time and energy to taking care of her daughter's family. The independence she once cherished felt like a distant memory. One day, while folding laundry late into the night, Grace looked out the window and felt a deep longing for her own space, her own life. She missed the quiet mornings with a cup of coffee, reading a good book, tending to her garden, and meeting with friends. She realized that she had spent so much time taking care of others that she had forgotten to take care of herself. Grace made a decision that shocked her family. She was moving back to her own home. When she told Sarah, her daughter was initially upset, worried about how they would manage without her help. But Grace was firm. She gently explained that she needed to reclaim her life, to live on her own terms, and that it was time for her daughter to take full responsibility for her household. Returning to her home, Grace rediscovered the joy of living independently. She reconnected with old friends, took up gardening again, and even started volunteering at a local library. Grace was finally living the life she had envisioned, filled with peace, fulfillment, and the freedom to choose how she spent her days. Grace's story is a poignant reminder of the importance of self-respect and the right to live life on one's own terms. It teaches us that no matter our age, we have the right to pursue our own happiness and fulfillment. Society often places expectations on elderly parents to serve their children, but Grace's experience shows us that it is crucial to set boundaries and prioritize our well-being. Her journey encourages us all to reflect on the quality of our own lives and the choices we make. Are we living authentically, or are we simply fulfilling the expectations of others? Grace's courage to reclaim her independence reminds us that it is never too late to take control of our lives and pursue the joy and peace we deserve. Let Grace's story inspire you to value your own happiness and to live boldly, unapologetically, and freely. Remember, your life is your own, and you have the right to live it in a way that brings you joy and fulfillment. The first type is community security job. Community security jobs are an excellent option for retirees who still want to engage in meaningful work while maintaining a relatively relaxed lifestyle. Many retirees, especially those who are physically active and in good health, find themselves in security roles within their local communities. Take, for instance, the seniors in the neighborhood where I reside. Several of them have taken up positions as community security guards. Their daily routine involves sitting in the security booth, leisurely reading newspapers, and occasionally pressing a button to open the gate for residents or visitors. It's a job that allows them to stay engaged with their surroundings without being overly taxing. As you consider this path, it's essential to understand that the choice of community can significantly impact your experience. High-end communities often have stringent management and may be less likely to hire retirees due to their rigorous standards and demands. Instead, medium to low-end communities offer better opportunities where the work is less demanding and there's more flexibility. However, it's crucial to recognize that security jobs often come with night shifts, which can be challenging, especially for those not accustomed to staying up late. My uncle, for example, took on a security job after retiring and found the night shifts to be tiring, requiring a mental and physical adjustment. This underscores the importance of being mentally prepared and understanding the demands of the job before committing. Additionally, finding a security job can be easier if you have connections. Personal introductions often pave the way for these roles, making it more accessible to enter the field. But don't be discouraged if you don't have such connections. Approaching the Community Property Management Office is a practical alternative. In essence, community security work offers retirees a chance to remain active and socially engaged while earning some extra income. This aligns with the Buddhist teaching that emphasizes the value of staying connected with one's community and contributing to the well-being of others. As Buddha once said, "To be idle is a short road to death, and to be diligent is a way of life. Foolish people are idle, wise people are diligent." This wisdom resonates with the idea of retirees taking up community security roles, as it allows them to avoid the idleness that can lead to a decline in both physical and mental health. By engaging in such work, Retirees not only keep themselves busy, but also continue to be of service to others, fostering a sense of purpose and fulfillment. In today's fast-paced world, where the value of work is often measured by its intensity and productivity, it's easy to overlook the importance of roles like community security. Yet these positions offer a unique opportunity to maintain a balance between work and relaxation, something that becomes increasingly important as we age. For retirees, this balance is key to a happy and healthy life. The job may not be glamorous, but it provides a structure to the day, a sense of responsibility, and most importantly, a way to stay connected with the world around you. In this sense, community security work is not just a job, it's a lifestyle choice that allows retirees to continue contributing to society in a meaningful way. Furthermore, the role of a community security guard is deeply rooted in the idea of protecting and serving others, which is a noble pursuit in any stage of life. As the Dalai Lama said, "Our prime purpose in this life is to help others, and if you can't help them, at least don't hurt them." This sentiment perfectly encapsulates the essence of community security work for retirees. By ensuring the safety and security of their community, retirees are living out this purpose, contributing to the greater good in a way that is both fulfilling and impactful. For those considering this path, it's important to approach it with the right mindset. Security work is not just about sitting in a booth and opening gates. It's about being vigilant, responsible, and aware of the surroundings. It requires a calm demeanor, patience, and a genuine interest in the well-being of others. Retirees who take on this role can find immense satisfaction in knowing that they are playing a vital part in maintaining the safety and peace of their community. This sense of duty and purpose can be incredibly rewarding, providing retirees with a renewed sense of identity and belonging. Moreover, the job of a community security guard can also serve as a form of meditation in motion. The quiet moments spent observing the comings and goings in the community, the repetitive actions of opening and closing gates, and the steady rhythm of the job can all contribute to a state of mindfulness. By approaching the job with this mindset, retirees can turn their work into a daily practice of mindfulness, finding peace and tranquility in the routine. As we navigate through the different stages of life, it's important to find roles that align with our values and needs, and community security work for retirees is one such role that offers both meaning and fulfillment. Remember, as Confucius said, "It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop." Taking on a security job in retirement is not about rushing through life, but about continuing to move forward, staying diligent, and contributing to the well-being of others in a meaningful way. This role allows retirees to keep going, to remain active and purposeful, and to live out their retirement years with dignity and respect. The second type is being the gardeners. Mr. James, 60 years old, retired early from his job as a school teacher. For years, he dedicated himself to shaping young minds, but after retiring, he found himself restless. His wife had passed away a few years earlier, and his two sons lived in different states, busy with their own lives. Mr. James tried different hobbies, like woodworking and painting, but nothing filled the void left by his teaching days. One day, while tending to his small backyard garden, he struck up a conversation with his neighbor, Mrs. Green, who was struggling to maintain her own garden due to her arthritis. She mentioned how much she missed the beauty of blooming flowers, but could no longer care for them. This conversation sparked an idea in Mr. James. He realized that many people in his community might be in a similar situation, older, living alone, and missing the simple joys of life like a well-kept garden. Mr. James decided to offer his gardening skills to his neighbors. He started by helping Mrs. Green, planting flowers she loved and trimming her hedges. Word spread quickly, and soon other neighbors approached him, asking for help with their gardens. Some needed simple tasks like mowing the lawn or weeding, while others requested more involved work, such as planting vegetable gardens. As Mr. James spent more time with his neighbors, he discovered that many of them valued the time he spent with them more than the actual gardening. They enjoyed the conversations, the shared stories, and the feeling of connection. For Mr. James, this became more than just a hobby. It became a way to fill the void he felt after retiring. He wasn't just a gardener, he was a friend, a listener, and a companion to those who needed it most. Over time, Mr. James expanded his services to include teaching others how to garden. He organized small workshops in his backyard, inviting neighbors to learn about different plants, soil care, and sustainable gardening practices. These workshops became popular social events in the neighborhood, bringing people together and creating a sense of community. Through his gardening, Mr. James found a new purpose in retirement, one that allowed him to use his skills to make a positive impact on his community. He learned that fulfillment often comes from giving to others, and that even simple acts of kindness can have a profound effect on both the giver and the receiver. The story of Mr. James reminds us that retirement doesn't have to mean the end of meaningful work. It can be the beginning of a new chapter filled with opportunities to connect, contribute, and grow. The fourth type is working as a dishwasher in a restaurant. After a lifetime of dedication to your career, you finally reached the point of retirement, a time that is often seen as a well-deserved rest. But as the days stretch out before you, you might find yourself yearning for something more, something that gives you a sense of purpose, a way to stay active, and perhaps a bit of extra income. Many retirees, especially women, might not consider jobs typically reserved for men, like security work. However, opportunities abound for those willing to think creatively and embrace roles that might seem simple but carry their own rewards. Take, for instance, the role of a dishwasher in a bustling restaurant. It might not be glamorous, but it offers something incredibly valuable: flexibility. My aunt, a proud retiree, took on such a job. She works during the lunch and dinner rush, allowing her to enjoy the rest of her day at her leisure. She relishes her freedom, knowing that while her pay may not be high, it is enough to maintain her financial independence. The dignity of earning her own money provides her with a sense of security that no one can take away. And isn't that something we all crave, no matter our age? Similarly, retirees can explore positions like hotel cleaning staff. These jobs, though often overlooked, can be a gateway to maintaining an active lifestyle while enjoying the benefits of a part-time schedule. When we talk about financial independence, we're not just discussing money. We're talking about the freedom it provides, the peace of mind that comes from knowing you are in control of your own life. The Buddha once said, "Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace." Financial independence can be that word. It is not just about the money, it's about what the money represents: freedom, dignity, and peace. Have you ever thought about what it would mean to you to have that kind of security, even in retirement? What would it mean to know that you are not a burden to anyone, that you can still contribute to your household, or even spoil your grandchildren a little? These are the subtle joys that come from maintaining some form of work after retirement. Now, let's take a moment to reflect. Why do we retire in the first place? Is it to stop contributing to society, or is it to finally do things on our terms? By taking up a job, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, we retain a sense of purpose and belonging. And isn't that what we all seek? The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once remarked, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." By engaging in work after retirement, you maintain a positive, active mindset, one that fosters happiness and self-worth. Consider the alternatives. Sitting idly, feeling your sense of purpose slowly slip away. Doesn't the idea of staying active and earning your own way sound more appealing? I'd like to ask you this. What would you do with your time if money was no object? Now, what if you could earn just enough to cover your needs and still have time to pursue your passions? How would that change your life? These are not easy questions, but they are essential for anyone looking to make the most out of their retirement years. Life after retirement doesn't have to be a period of decline. Instead, it can be a time of renewal, where you discover new ways to live, work, and enjoy life. Wouldn't you agree that it's worth considering all your options, including taking up a part-time job like dishwashing or hotel cleaning? Imagine for a moment the pride you'd feel knowing that you are still a contributor, still playing a vital role in society, no matter how small it might seem. And the financial rewards, modest as they may be, add up to something far greater than the sum of their parts: independence, freedom, and the ability to live your life on your own terms. Buddha's teachings remind us that peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. In this light, work after retirement can be seen not just as a means to an end, but as a way to maintain inner peace through independence and self-sufficiency. So, as you contemplate your own retirement, or perhaps that of a loved one, ask yourself, what do you truly want from this new chapter of life? Is it endless relaxation, or is it a balance between rest and the satisfaction of a job well done? The choice is yours, and it is one that deserves careful consideration. Whether you choose to take up a role like dishwashing or something else entirely, remember that it's not just about the money. It's about staying engaged, feeling valued, and ensuring that your retirement is as fulfilling as it can be. What will your choice be? Will you embrace the opportunity to keep contributing, or will you let the chance slip by? The decision you make could define the quality of your retirement and, indeed, the quality of your life. By embracing the teachings we've shared today, you can ensure that your retirement is a time of peace, purpose, and positive influence. If you found value in this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with others who might benefit, and don't forget to subscribe to The Journey of Wisdom. Make sure to turn on notifications so you never miss our upcoming videos filled with more wisdom and guidance for a fulfilling life. Thank you for watching.